What is going on, everybody? Captain Cody Davis back again for another video here. Welcome back to the channel, those of you that have been following along, and welcome any newcomers to the channel as well. As obviously you can see, we're sitting here in the house again. It's late at night. It's actually downpouring outside. My boat shed might blow away, but looks like it's going to do this throughout the rest of the night, which I am okay with because I don't have to work tomorrow, and there's nothing I love more than sleeping during a rainstorm with a tin roof. So I'm excited to go to bed because I am tired. We just put the baby down. Breezy's taking care of some work in the office. So I decided to come out here and shoot a video for you guys. So obviously we're not on Okeechobee like I'd like to be in my videos, but here's the deal. I went out I went out 2 days ago and today, pre-fishing for a tournament that's coming up this weekend that I'm gonna be fishing with Breezy in. Me and her haven't fished a tournament together in, I don't know, over a year. So I'm very excited to get out there and fish. Any of you that are looking to jump in a tournament, it's called the Refuse to Sink Tournament. It's this Saturday. Today is September, 7th? Oh, I'm sorry. So today's the 8th. 9th. It's on September 10th. Out of Clewiston, at a Roland Martin's Marina. I think it's like $60. And guaranteed $3,000 for first place. It's for a great cause, suicide awareness. Definitely, if you guys want to fish a great tournament, I'll be there. Fish it. Looking for get as many boats as we can. Awesome raffle prizes at the end, live entertainment, all kinds of stuff. It's a really cool event. Fished it last year, so we're going to be fishing that. So I went out 2 days ago and had the camera equipment and stuff, but did a lot more boat riding than fishing, and just didn't have a good day. Caught fish, didn't do a good job at narrating to the camera what was going on. Caught, and caught some fish, caught some schoolers and stuff, but wasn't video worthy in my opinion. So I actually went up to the north end today and put in, and actually jumped in what we call the Old Man Tournament, which is, it's basically just a $20 open tournament. You fish from safe light to 11 o'clock, and you come in, and which I did, and I used it as a practice day up there, and ended up texting the weighmaster about 10 to 11 that I will not be weighing in. I only had like 12 pounds, and come to find out 5 pounds won it. So that was kind of stupid. Always weigh your fish in because you never know what's gonna happen. It was tough this morning. I fished some new water, but absolutely slick, calm conditions, not a lick of wind, so hot. And coming off of that full moon, no cloud cover. I mean, the epitome of the worst conditions you can ask for. And it's funny, I found some fish. I could literally see them. Like, you don't sight fish a lot on Okeechobee, but there was these monsters just cruising around brim beds. So, I don't know. I mean, caught 2 of them, caught 2 big ones, and got to them late, kind of found them late. So, maybe me and Breezy will go there Saturday. I don't know. We still don't know what our game plan's going to be. But, so that's what I was doing. Didn't get any footage for you guys, unfortunately. So yeah, so the next couple of videos you're gonna see are gonna be probably me sitting right here. So I'm gonna have this video. My next video I'm gonna drop after this one, I'm gonna do a fishing report. I'm gonna do like kind of a Lake Okeechobee fishing report. I haven't done one in forever. And then I'm gonna kind of just keep you guys up to speed with some things that are coming on the channel. I'm gonna ask you guys' input and your opinion on some things. I'm gonna ask for some questions. And things like that. So the next video will be another, fishing report. I kind of let you guys know what's going on the lake, what's starting to change, what I think is going to happen for the upcoming season, stuff like that. So this video is going to be almost kind of like a hint into the podcast world. A lot of you guys left a lot of positive feedback on my last video about the Does Lake Okeechobee Suck thing. And got a lot of positive feedback on that, and a lot of positive feedback on me starting my own podcast. I'm a podcast nut. My wife will tell you it drives her crazy. I can't do anything in life without listening to a podcast, whether it's taking a shower, whether it's mowing the lawn, now even fishing and on fishing related podcasts I listen to. So and what kind of brought it about was I just love talking fishing. And that's what I do for a living. Yes, I guide, but I mean, all we're doing is talk about fishing, getting, having not debates, but conversations with different people from different places in the country, hearing other people's take on things. And I'll get more into in my next video what I want to target and what I want to really kind of do with the podcast and what you guys can be expecting from it. But this is kind of one of the things is, I get to have these conversations with people on the boat, and this is a topic that gets brought up literally every single guide trip, and that's what we're going to talk about today. Is one, why I don't run electronics on my boat, why I think it helps me be a better fisherman on Lake Okeechobee, and do I think forward-facing sonar is ruining the sport of bass fishing? Because that's a very, very popular and hot topic in the bass fishing world right now. So I'm going to give you my input on it. You can totally disagree with it, and that's fine, because I'm not right about everything or hardly anything. And it's just something to think about, though. So we're going to go into my electronics. I don't have any. The first thing people say when they get on my boat is, why don't you run electronics? You get in my Blazer Bay, there's a big bare piece of black painted fiberglass on my dash where a unit should go, and there's nothing there. And when I bought my boat, we were talking about putting a unit in it, and Breezy said, don't put a unit in it. Wait, play with everyone else's, see what company or what brand you're gonna wanna go with and why, and things like that. And that's what I did. Kelly fishes Lowrance, Breezy fishes Humminbird, a bunch of my buddies fish Garmin, and I played with all of it, and there's negative sides to some, there's positive sides to all of them, there's negative sides to all of them. They're all great at the end of the day. And after thinking about it, it really hit me that I don't need the damn thing at all. Now, a lot of you are going to say that's because you're cheap and you don't want to buy one and you don't have the money for one, and that's kind of true. But I literally bought a unit. It's probably been 6 months now that I've had a Humminbird Helix in the box in my garage, and I've been A, too lazy to install it, and B, the reason is because I just simply will not turn it on. In my old boat, I had a Humminbird Helix as well, and when I sold the boat, I had the boat probably 2 years, and when I sold the boat, it had 2 waypoints in it. I don't turn my unit on. I turn it on to know what the water temperature is, and I turn my unit on in case of a very bad fog, which I don't like to really run in anyway, but if the fog clears enough to where I could see a comfortable 60, 70 feet in front of my bow, I can hop up just enough on pad that I'm cruising, and I know that I'm running down the grass line I want to be on. But that's it. I don't leave waypoints. Lake Okeechobee literally changes every single day, every day. So I just don't use it. And but I did get one because, like I said, the water temperature. And the biggest thing with the water temperature is these fish down here are so fickle, they're so sensitive that the way you fish this lake in 66 degree water is completely different than how you fish it in 69 degree water, for me. And so water temperature is big. So I do have a unit, I just haven't put it in yet. Now, why do I think it helps me? My partner Kelly actually pointed this out to me after fishing with me for a year or so in the boat, and how much more like in touch with the lake I am than anyone else. He told me, it's like, I'm not saying you're the best fisherman on the lake, which I'm obviously not, but I pick up on the smallest details, and I'm so dialed. Like if I find fish, it's like I know when I get there, I pick up on if something's changed for the worst very quickly. Because you look at Kelly's boat, he runs a Bass Cat. He's got 2 units in the dash, 2 units up front. And we fish his boat a lot. You guys see it in the videos. But what you don't realize when you are driving your boat is how much you look down at that GPS unit, whether you're on the bow fishing or if you're running the boat on pad, right? If you're hauling ass doing 75 mile an hour, you're probably clearing down, looking up real quick, right? And then if you're like me, like a guide, and you're not trying to get somewhere at 100 mile an hour and you're cruising at 40 miles an hour, you're still going to look ahead, look down at your unit, talk to your customer, look down. Whereas me, there's nothing there. So I'm either looking in front of me, or that 2 seconds I'm looking in front of me, 2 seconds I'd be looking at my dash. I'm looking off to the side, and I'm looking at watercolor. I'm looking at, there's 3 egrets standing in the back of Blue Hole. Why are there 3 white birds in the back of Blue Hole? That was strange. Maybe on our way back from Cochran's, we'll stop in Blue Hole real quick and check it. I'm seeing I look back in a pocket. I saw, while I ran by the pocket at 20 miles or 30 miles an hour, I saw 5 or 6 shad flick. Well, that means there's probably an ass load of shad back there, because if 3 or 6 of them flicked just that second I ran by that pocket, probably a lot of bait pushed up in there. Especially right now, the way the lake's fishing and how the water is just circulating around the lake. One day you'll fish an area and the water is just pea soup, and literally the next day it's crystal clear. I don't know why it's doing that, but because I'm not staring at my unit and I'm just kind of always just looking around, it's like I'll catch it and I'll be like, oh, this water got clean. Come off a pad, catch fish, talk to somebody at the dock 2 days later, and be like, you doing any good? Yeah, I did pretty good. Flipping the edge of West Wall, and they'll say, well, that water's crap. Well, no, it was crap, but it cleaned up. And you're constantly looking at the lake. And, I don't know. I think it helps. It doesn't, when I'm fishing an area, I'm not constantly looking at my old waypoints and fishing history. I'm not looking down going, oh, I got a lot of bites in here. I'm kind of fishing it new. Like, yes, I know I'm in the general vicinity. I've caught fish in prior, but I'm not like focusing on that waypoint, because you get yourself hurt with that waypoint, because that where your waypoint is may have looked completely different than it does now 2 years ago. I don't know. It works for me. I don't get sidetracked, and I find myself noticing so many little things, like the birds, the bait, alligators. It's a huge thing down here in Okeechobee, where the gators are, and if there's a concentration of them, they're going to be where the life is. Constantly looking around and surrounding, your surroundings, more looking at your electronics. Now, I know that sounds stupid. It's a little thing, but for me, I think it helps. And like I said, I have the unit. I just have not put it in the boat. And when I do, and I'm going to, I just know I'm not going to use it, except for water temperature. It's a big thing for me. So that's why I don't have one, just because I waited and then I got one and I'm just too lazy to put it in at the end of the day. So, but I did get a Humminbird Helix again, because that's all I need. And it's a great unit. So hopefully, DJ, if you're watching this, you're going to help me put that in. I've had it for however long. So that's the thing. When you come down here, this is going to move right into like the forward-facing sonar and just electronics in general. Mega 360, live scope, Panoptics, the whole nine, everything. There are amazing improvements in the technology in the bass fishing world literally every year, and electronics have just gone through the roof. And when I get people down here from other parts of the country, when they see I don't have a unit, like, it's funny where I'll talk to the customers, and if I'm not naming anyone, and I'm just gonna describe something off the top of my head. So if this boat and setup matches any of you that have fished with me, I'm not pointing you out. I'm just literally gonna just draw something off the top of my head. But I'll talk to these guys who live in either X, Y, or Z state. They fish X, Y, or Z trail, and they tell me, yeah, I've got a 2021 Bass Cat or a 2020 Phoenix. I've got 2 Garmin's on the front, 2 on the back. I run the Panoptics and all. I'm like, oh, okay, cool, man, nice. And then they're trying to learn Okeechobee, and they hop in my boat. They literally feel like they made a huge mistake. I could see it on their face when they look at that I'm not fishing electronics. And they ask me, like, do you not have electronics? And I tell them, it's not going to help you here. All that fancy stuff will not in any way, shape, or form help you on Okeechobee. Now, sometimes in the winter, if you have a high lake and you find the 3 clumps of hydrilla left in the damn lake, okay, you can maybe 360 use your 360 to find holes in the hydrilla. Or one of the big things people do with the 360 is look for bluegill beds. You can stay off of them and throw to them. That helps. But for the most part, you're not going to use it. You're going to use your unit at your console, and if you're smart, you're going to leave your covers on your front units so that you don't put 1.5 ounce weight through the screen. So you really don't need it on this lake. And I don't know. I think some people, everyone has it down here. Everybody. I mean, everyone in a $60 club event has 5 units on their boat, and that's fine. But at the end of the day, if you really ask them, they're not really using it, except for a select few places in and around the lake, but they're not technically fishing the lake, maybe like rim canal purposes and stuff. Then it really does, obviously you're fishing 17 to 20 feet of water, that it'll definitely help. But if you're fishing the grass in the main lake, for the most part, you really don't need it. But like I said, the technology has come so far, and coming off of that electronics topic, everyone will be like, what do you think about all this sonar, this forward-facing sonar? That's not even fishing. That ain't even fishing. Them pros are supposed to be able to catch them. That's not fishing. And this is coming from somebody who does not use it, does not have it, and has absolutely no intentions on getting HD Live or Mega 3 or Panoptics or anything like that. It's all relative, and you have to look at it. And every situation is different. So to say it ruined fishing, that's kind of a ridiculous statement, because the whole goal in the sport is to catch as many of the biggest fish in the body of water you're on as possible. That's the whole goal. So anything that can improve your odds of doing that is a valuable tool, right? That's what every company in the industry is striving to do. Whether it's Shimano coming out with their DC reels, whether it's all these line companies coming out with this extra strong fluorocarbon, more transparent fluorocarbon, these rods getting lighter and stronger by the day, lures with our plugs and jerk baits that suspend perfect and have all this stuff is no different than that forward-facing sonar. And at the end of the day, if you're going out to try and catch the biggest fish in the lake and the most fish you possibly can, and money is not an object or an issue, why wouldn't you have forward-facing sonar? It's arguably one of the biggest improvements in the fishing world ever. There's so many new doors that have been opened because of it. All those suspended deep water fish, you're sight fishing them. It's like no different than finding a 10-pounder on a bed in the St. Johns River in 1.5 feet of water. It is different, but you can almost fish that fish the same. And everyone, I see the Facebook threads, everyone complaining about watching the elites and FLW or MLF live. All they're doing is staring down at their screen. Well, at the end of the day, their job is to catch those fish. That's their job. Whereas for me and you, it's my job as well, but I'm doing it on a lake we'll use that as an example. If I was not guiding on Lake Okeechobee, if I was guiding out there on OHIV in Texas, or all those other lakes where all them guys are catching all these 16, 17 pounders using the forward-facing sonar, you'd bet your ass it would be on the front of my boat, because it is my job to put my customers on fish. And if that's going to improve their odds of catching a fish of a lifetime, I'm going to do it. Same thing like down here with power poles. You have to have power poles on Okeechobee. You don't have to. Obviously, I'm sure there's some of you watching that don't have it on your boat. But for me, I would feel almost irresponsible not having them. And I do have it where I have issues with them and they're not working. And it's almost like I have to cancel a trip. Just pray it doesn't blow, because it's the biggest improvement. It's the most important tool you have on this lake are power poles. And that's kind of where the forward-facing sonar is on a lot of these other lakes throughout the country, and even in Florida too. It's one of those things where once you use it, it's like you can't go back from it. So yes, it may be boring watching all these guys drop shot and all this, but they don't care if you're watching. They don't care. Like, they can't say, I'm on 28 pounds out here on this brush pile, throwing a glide bait, but Jim Tucker in Alabama wants me to go flip a jig, and I did it for a day and a half in practice, and I think I had one bite, but that's more appealing for him to watch. My daughter's got a wedding coming up, but I don't need to pay for that. I'm gonna go entertain these guys. They don't care. They don't care, and they shouldn't care. If you don't want to watch it, turn the damn thing off. They're doing their job. These pros, it's like, if it is legal and it is in the rule book, they're not breaking any rules, and they are fishing legally. They're the best in the world, and their job and their livelihood depends on them putting the fish in the boat. Now, I already hear you guys yelling, they get all that shit free and they get all this sponsor money. Well, I'll tell you right now, if they don't perform and exceed these sponsors' expectations for a season, those sponsor dollars go away. They drop them. They drop them. So they need to perform. Their names need to be in those top 10s. So they're going to do everything and anything that they can legally that's going to give them an advantage to catch as many big fish as they can. So do I think it ruined the sport of fishing? No, because when spider wire came out, I remember, like, now I'm only 30 years old, so I'm sure there's a lot of you watching this that have seen crazy other improvements where people would say, oh, that's cheating, that ain't fishing. And I remember spider wire was that way, braided line. Now, I'm talking to you from the land of the braided line, down here in South Florida, and I was one of them. Now, granted, I was a kid. I don't know how old I was when braid came out, but I remember saying that's not even fair to the fish. Now, you guys see I have 2 rods without braid on my rods. But I remember that was a thing, like, that ain't fishing, that's cheating, you're not even giving the fish a chance. I'm sure when the first 2D Lowrance came out, there were people saying that, oh, that's BS, that ain't even fishing. You could drive over the top of the fish and see where they're at. That ain't fishing. That ain't fishing. It's always going to be that. And I'm telling you news for you. This forward-facing sonar isn't even close. Is going to be laughed at in 5 years. I guarantee you. So it has not ruined the sport of fishing. Now, do I like watching them use it? No, I don't. But at the end of the day, like, that's the least of their concerns. Like, who doesn't like watching people fish Gunnersville with a frog on live, or watch these guys beat the bank with a buzzbait, or whatever, throw a Carolina rig. But it is not as fun to watch from them staring down at their screen. But has it ruined it? No, it's just the next thing, and then there's going to be something else in a couple years, and it's another thing in a couple years after that. All these companies are doing everything in their power to make the best product possible, so that's going to sell more. Now, if you don't think it's fishing, you don't have to buy it. That's fine. But even if you're just a little local tournament angler, and well, I'm saying, now not everyone has the money to afford these things, because I don't either. Like, I don't even know how much live scope costs, but I don't look into it because it's not a necessity for my job, as are power poles. I don't know how much a set of power poles costs now, $5,000 probably for 2 blades and the whole setup. And I'm getting ready to, I'm going to need new power poles soon. But that's something where, yes, it's going to hit me in the wallet, and yes, it's going to suck to buy, but that is a necessity to me that I cannot live without on this lake. Live scope's not, whereas in those Texas lakes, they need to have it. So if money was not an option, money was not an issue to you, and you're a tournament fisherman on this said body of water where you're fishing deep water, fishing suspended fish, on brush, on wood, whatever, and one of your guys in the competition has a forward-facing sonar, you're kind of behind the 8 ball if you don't have one. If the lake is setting up for offshore fishing like that, now if they're spawning and they're on the bank, okay, then it's a fair, but that's the thing. Like, these guys travel the country, they never know what they're going to run into, so they have to have it. So that's just a way to think of it. I don't think it's ruined the sport at all whatsoever. It's just the next biggest thing right now, and there's going to be a lot more to follow it. It's crazy. For those of you that are bashing it but have never played with it, it's crazy. I mean, it is unreal how good it is. And another thing people don't think about, and Billy Museum was Austin. Austin, if you're watching this, from Alabama, good buddy, he's got a Camus, and you fished with Cat Daddy with me. Had a good time with them guys. But he was one of the first guys, fished Pickwick and stuff, and he had it all on his Camus. He was educating me with it. And a good point he brought up to me one time was, this is a blessing and a curse, because at the end of the day, you can see them. You can see how they're set up. That doesn't mean they're going to bite. And we kind of ran into that for a brief moment on his boat. Found a pot of fish. He was making the cast with the jerkbait, running the jerkbait through the fish. And some of the fish would come up to it and just fall off. And he said, this is no different than finding a giant on a bed that isn't ready to eat. You see them. You know they're there. You're seeing how they react to every different bait you put in there. And sometimes they are not going to bite. Before you know it, you've literally been on this school for 2.5, 3 hours and have nothing to show for it. Whereas if you were to just to A, not even know they were there and just fish, or B, idle over them with 2D sonar and mark them so you know they're there and come off of them, you know, maybe you would just throw out there for 20 minutes, do a different array of baits, not get any bites, and say they just ain't biting. It's that slight interest that fish shows in that jerkbait or that drop shot where he comes up to it but won't eat, that keeps you there, just like on a bedding fish. So it can be a curse as well. And he said he runs into that all the time out there on Pickwick and things like that, and I believe it. Makes a lot of sense. So that's it. My throat's dry. When you come to Okeechobee, you don't have to have fancy electronics. You do not have to. I say this all the time, and maybe just because I'm born and raised down here in Florida. If I was, I'm very fortunate to live where I live. But if I had to bass fish in these lakes or these bodies of water where 7 pounds, 8 pounds, you're getting a good check, and you're fishing deep, and you had to fish really light line and finesse fish and stuff, I probably wouldn't bass fish. Now I say that, but if that's all I had, I probably would, right? But part of what I live for, what I love about bass fishing down here is that big rod, shallow water, thick, nasty cover, and just like biggins, you know, like you can't pan optics into a damn reed head under a hyacinth mat. Okay, you can, but it ain't, you're wasting more time. Flip that 1.5 ounces in there, get the bite, and take her out of there. Same thing flipping that jig in the buggy whips right now. And that's what I love, and that's what, you know, you don't need the stuff down here. And go back to basics. Go back. Like I said, Kelly pointed that out to me, that he thinks a lot of people actually on this lake, the way it sets up, you overlook more, you miss more with the electronics than you take in without. And you know, today I was fishing, ended up seeing 2 birds, saw 6 alligators. I stopped, there were 6 alligators stacked 10 feet off the hard line. I really slowed down. I put the power poles down, and I got I don't know, 5 or 6 bites in this little 40-foot stretch, and 2 of them were big ones. So the clues are there. Go back, you know, just because the new stuff came out doesn't mean the old tactics went out of style, or they did go out of style, but it doesn't mean they don't work. So that's that. So that's my whole gamut on electronics. Let me know what you think. Let me know if you disagree with me. Let me know if I'm an idiot. And I'm either going to do this next video for you guys real quick, or I'm going to go to bed. So I'll see you guys on the next one. Hopefully I see some of you Saturday for the Refuse to Sink tournament. It's a great event. Like I said, come out and fish. If any of you ever see me, I get a lot of messages like, hey man, I saw you at the ramp, didn't want to bother you. Say what's up. I greatly appreciate all of you guys watching the stuff. Share the videos, tell your friends, and I'll see you guys on the next one. Tight lines.